everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 5 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in ECW history with match number 46 on our list, which is the three-way dance between Shane Douglas, Sabu, and Tommy Dreamer from the November 8th, 1997 edition of ECW Hardcore TV. Now, you might have thought, if you didn't see the title of the video, that I was going to say Terry Funk instead of Tommy Dreamer, but no, this is not the three-way dance from the night the line was crossed. This is a random, almost kind of throwaway ECW arena main event in late 97 that was on Hardcore TV. This match basically takes up the entirety of the Hardcore TV episode. They have some promos before and after it with all of the guys competing in this match. But so it, gets lots of time. But really, this match, didn't have too much of a purpose coming into it. That said, it is super fun. It's filled with some great moments. It's in a time period where I kind of feel like, the original sort of ECW that, we all knew and loved was kind of starting to fade away watching this stuff back as it starts to transition into, competing against the WWF's Attitude Era and transition into that TNN period. So the kind of golden years of ECW were really starting to wrap up in 1997. That was the impression that I got while watching this. You can see that shift. All of these guys are intertwined with each other in one way or another. And all three of them have big matches at the November to Remember pay-per-view that took place shortly after this match. So Tommy Dreamer was feuding primarily with Rob Van Dam, but also with Sabu, with Jerry Lawler, and the whole kind of WWF contingent. That was one of the main storylines in the summer of '97 into the fall leading into November to Remember, that Tommy Dreamer was standing up for ECW against all of these wrestlers that had an affiliation with the WWF stemming from when ECW invaded Monday Night Raw in early '97. So Dreamer and Sabu were scheduled to, Dreamer and Van Dam rather, were scheduled to face off in a flag match where the loser would have to wave the winner's flag from their respective promotion. Dreamer and Sabu had that rivalry, but Sabu, he was off doing his own thing. He was embarked in a bitter feud with the Sandman. He threw a fireball in the Sandman's eyes, temporarily blinding him, which led to the Sandman making a big return, and they would clash at the November to Remember in a match that was considered an immense disappointment. It goes a very long time. It is very messy. A lot of spots don't go off quite as planned. It's maybe not as disastrous as reading the internet on this match for years had led me to believe, but it is not good. Thankfully, they would redeem themselves with their Stairway to Hell match, and I thought their Dueling Canes match at Living Dangerously '98 was a lot of fun too. So Sandman and Sabu, they did have some good matches together, but that November to Remember one was not one of those. Shane Douglas, on the other hand, had recently lost the ECW World Heavyweight Championship to Bam Bam Bigelow, and they were scheduled to have a rematch in Pittsburgh, Shane Douglas's hometown, at the November to Remember. So all three of these guys have their own story. They're all somewhat connected. Dreamer and Sabu feuding. Douglas had, won the ECW World Heavyweight title from Sabu in the summer in a rematch of the night the line was crossed in a three-way dance involving Terry Funk. So these guys all kind of fit together. We get a standard three-way dance to start. We start with a triple lockup, and we get just kind of some good kind of, formulaic three-man spots that these matches are known for. One story that kind of rides throughout this match that I really liked is Tommy Dreamer was wrestling this match on a broken foot. He had broken his heel. He was recovering from that. He has sort of a boot on his foot. He's a little bit hobbled throughout the match, but Tommy Dreamer is a tough guy if nothing else, and he guts it through with a pretty great performance here. He has to use his foot several times throughout the match. There's a point where Sabu comes off the top with a chair, and he has to put both boots up to block it. There's a point where Sabu and Douglas are trying to bring a table into the ring, and he hits a baseball slide into the table, you know, making sure to sell the foot, and it probably wasn't selling. His foot was really injured, but it's kind of the story that, you know, at what cost does he have to, you know, put that foot to use to survive in this match against, you know, two fierce opponents. Dreamer and Sabu, despite this being a three-way dance, they do break up each other's pinfalls pretty frequently throughout it, which would normally be a pet peeve of mine. It's an elimination match. Let one of your opponents be eliminated, but the story kind of fit here because these guys were involved in that interpromotional feud as well. So it did kind of work for me. We get some big spots here. Shane Douglas hits a superplex on Sabu, on top of Tommy Dreamer, who's lying on a table. That looked really great. And this match just has your classic ECW moments involved in it. So each person has a second at ringside. Beulah's out there with Tommy. Francine is out there, of course, with Shane Douglas. And Fonzie's out there with Sabu. There's a point where Fonzie trips both Dreamer and Douglas. And that leads to bitter rivals for all time, Beulah and Francine, teaming up for, to my knowledge, the only time in ECW history where they both take Fonzie out with a double clothesline. They proceed to kind of get into a little bit of a cat fight, but take him out again when he comes back. And both of them end up hitting their charges, you know, respective poses. So Beulah gets the arms out, the Tommy Dreamer pose, and Francine throws up the triple threat. And while they do that, Dreamer and Douglas both come back in and hit stereo pile drivers on, you know, their opponent's valet. So Douglas hits a pile driver on Beulah, and Dreamer hits a pile driver on Francine. It came across really good. The crowd was hot for, you know, all of it. It was just one of those great little moments. At this point, Shane Douglas tries to bail on the match. That brings Bam Bam Bigelow out, who I mentioned, you know, was the ECW World Heavyweight Champion and had that clash coming up with Douglas. He runs him back into the ring. Tommy uses Douglas's own side belly-to-belly suplex. As he makes the cover, Sabu goes for an Arabian facebuster. Dreamer moves. Sabu hits the move on Douglas. And rather than fight anymore, both Dreamer and Sabu cover Douglas for a stereo pinfall to eliminate the #1 contender for the ECW World Heavyweight title, but in a somewhat protected way where he was pinned by two men, and it was the distraction from Bam Bam that led to his elimination. So, you know, Douglas didn't lose too much by that loss, you know, with that title shot coming up. We get a really fun Tommy and Sabu run leading into the end here. Sabu hits a bunch of stuff. He hits, you know, like a triple jump chair shot into the crowd. And, you know, he hits Air Sabu into a Hurricane Rana and all this great Sabu stuff that he does. Dreamer ends up in just a crazy spot, hitting a DDT off the top rope on Sabu through a table. And when it looks like Dreamer's about to have the match won, just a really great visual spot. Dreamer is trying to crawl toward the pin, and his bad foot is draped just outside of the ropes. And that allows Fonzie to come up, whack Dreamer in the foot with a steel chair, and Sabu would hit him with the Arabian facebuster for a really close 2, and then put Tommy away with the triple jump moonsault for 3. This match, I feel, is a real hidden gem. You never hear it talked about, especially when it comes to, you know, classic three-way dances that ECW had done, with it being one of their signature matches. This isn't one that comes up, but it's super fun. You have 3 iconic ECW figures, like I said, in that, you know, the wind down of that peak ECW era in the ECW arena with a super hot crowd, a great little story going throughout it. This match is well worth watching. Like I said, because it runs, you know, almost the entire episode of Hardcore TV, it is one of the best episodes of this series, in my opinion, for that reason. You can find it on the WWE Network. You might be able to find it on Peacock. You can look it up online, of course. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you don't miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.